Hello ladies and gents, another video brought to you by Ants Hood, and today I've got an update on my leaf cutter ants, and they like to bite. I'm not even kidding, I've got a video of them biting me. I mean, every time I touch these things, bite. If you haven't seen my first video, which is my introduction stroke care video into micronermics, I'll put a link in the top right corner now. Now, unfortunately, I made a little typo, and I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of it. When I was talking about the climate requirements in the fungus chamber, I did state it was 23 to 28 degrees, but as you can clearly see here, I wrote down 23 to 28. That's wrong. It's got to be 26, definitely. Now, I've cleared that mess up. I can crack on with what this video is about. Now, first off, I'm going to apologise for the shaky video. I've got big fat bingo wings, and I keep knocking it when I'm trying to film. This setup is the Wakooshi setup that's specifically designed to look after leafcutter ants. Myself and a couple of other content creators and some other people actually are trialling this to see how we get on with it. And I have to say that I've always been scared of keeping leafcutter ants because they're notoriously difficult to look after and to get the climate right. But this setup has it bang to rights. It is made keeping these very easy, and I cannot wait for it to go to full retail, which I don't think is too far away. It's got a couple of minor tweaks to do still, because I think that it will make leafcutter ants, apart from the price of them, because they're like 150 quid at least, more accessible for the average Joe ant keeper and more viable to look after without panicking too much about the setup. But like I said, check my last video out for this setup, so I'll talk about it in a bit more detail. The only negative I've got about this setup is probably it's a bit too small, because when you put quite big leaves, and you can see here, and look, I've got a little bitey, I'll do a video on that in a second, it's difficult to clean out and it gets congested very quickly, as you can see here. I can't wait to get some extra pods to make it easier. Now, I don't get this opportunity very often because the art world's curved. It doesn't really favour decent photography, and because of the lenses that I use for my phone, I can't really get any decent macro shots like this. But this is a great opportunity to distract her while she's chewing my finger off, and to have a good look at her. And look how beautiful she is. She's actually one of the majors. They're very polymorphic. They've got a lot of different sizes for different casts. Hopefully we'll go into that in a bit later. But look at the spines all over her. Not just the spines predominantly on her back, but the bumps all over her as well, and the tiny spines. She's just beautiful. She's got big long spider legs and obviously really strong mandibles. Just look how she's pinching me. She's actually pierced my skin, but doesn't make me, as you can see there, but doesn't actually make me bleed. Very beautiful ant. I've got some more footage of this as well. I might put in a little bit extra video. If I do, that'll be at the end if you want to check it out. So I've actually got quite a lot of footage of these this week that I've not used. Now, for a foundation chamber, this setup's awesome, but what I've found is when I put bigger leaves in, as you can see here, this was actually covered by leaf as well. They've moved all of the growing fungus, well, most of it, underneath the leaves. So when I removed it, you can see it's detached from the main fungus garden. So I really need to be mindful that when I put leaves in next time, to make sure they're elevated off the ground so they don't start moving underneath the leaves again. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, but Hood, if they were happy underneath the leaves, why would you remove them? Because I know they've got a preference to be under the leaves, but the climate requirements are bang on for this setup. It's exactly how they want. So going underneath the leaves, all it's going to do is restrict my viewing pleasure, as it were. And for my video for you guys, it's not going to be as good because you're not going to see anything. Not only that though, the leaves do have to come out because they'll go black with mold and stuff like that. So it's not really viable to keep it there. And as if I remove it, it's not going to be detrimental to them because the climate's cool. I am going to remove it. Like I said before, I really like this setup. It's really easy to look after them, but the only issue I've got is a bit small. So when I've got leaves in there, it does get quite compact quite quickly. And I'm not particularly fond of that. I want to keep it nice and clean, so I've got good observations of the ants and stuff like that. Now, traditionally speaking, leaf cutters have 3 pods. One's to put the leaves in, the middle one's for the fungus, and the right one, argument's sake, is where you put they put the trash. And when I get a 3-pod setup, I'll show you what I'm doing with that. Now, the issue with this is it's only got one access port. So if I do decide to keep this, but just use it for the fungus garden, I'm kind of limited because I've only got the one access port. So that's a bit of a limitation on it. Maybe Wakooshi wants to put another one in there. I know this is a foundation chamber, but you know, and that's the whole point of the mesh as well. You can pick up the whole fungus and then drop it into the correct chamber. So that's cool, I get that. But if I want to keep it in this, or maybe money's tight, then I'm kind of restricted in those regards. So maybe Wakooshi could look into that. Maybe it just says, Hood, shut up. The way I'm going to do it is cool. So his prerogative on that one. I'll also note that on the Ant Keeping WhatsApp group that you get automatically invited to, if you choose to, that is if you buy some leaf cutters from Ant Davey. It's also recommended there that if you notice my thermostat's near the top. Now, it actually recommends that you put it near the bottom so it's nearer the fungus and gets a better reading of the fungus, because it talks about if you get condensation in the setup, it doesn't necessarily mean the humidity is right. Because what the condensation does, and that occurs when the outside room ambient temperature is colder than it is in the nest itself, or the pod itself. And what that does is it causes water to condense on the surface of the glass on the inside. Now, it doesn't necessarily represent that the humidity is right. What it actually means is that humidity is getting sucked out of the air to form the droplets. Now, those droplets can be problematic because they could drip onto your fungus garden, or they could flood the setup. So you've got some issues there you need to worry about. So to get, it also states obviously moving the thermostat down to the bottom. So I'm going to do that moving forward as well. So I've got a better reading of the fungus area. But very interesting point about the condensation, guys. How I stop condensation is I've warmed the ambient temperature of my room up to the required temperatures for the fungus garden, so I don't have that difference in temperature and I don't get the condensation forming. And that's how I can keep mine clean, can keep doing this cool footage that you're seeing now, and haven't got it all obscured with condensation. So I'd definitely consider that if I was you guys. As you can see here, I've actually got the fungus in its entirety, and to tell you the truth, when I first looked at it on the right before I removed the leaves, I was like, oh my god, what is going on with these? This doesn't look good. But you can clearly see I've actually still got quite a fair bit of fungus, I'm just moving it about a little bit. But check out this picture. This is a great picture, to be honest, because you can clearly see the structure that they make with the fungus. Now, the reason they do this is for two main reasons. One, it aids circulation of air and humidity and stuff like that. And secondly, it hugely increases the surface area of your potential growing garden area. So if you think about it, if you've just got one solid surface, you've only got one solid surface to do it. Now, if you do these honeycombs, you're like trebling the actual surface area for a structure, and meaning you can have much more fungus growing, and it's a lot more efficient for the small space that it uses. Ants are just so smart. Now, if you actually look at this picture as well, you can see something else. You see all that whitey stuff? That's actually more fresher fungus, and the yellow stuff back there is the older fungus, or potentially dead fungus. Now, I actually think they feed from that as well. So, or where that's the point where they start feeding from it. I'm not entirely sure. I need to do more research on it. But anyway, if you look from this different angle, you can see all three stages. You've got the older stuff in the middle, which is yellow. You've got the whiter stuff on the right-hand side, which is like the mid-old age fungus. And then you've got the very shiny, squeaky clean new fungus that's just been grown from the very freshest of ground down leaves here. It's also quite important that when you clean it out, that you make sure you check everything that you're picking up. Now, I don't think I've shown you. I might do it in my little bit extra video if I decide to do one where I actually got the leaves and I cut them because they're all over it, just to drop them in so I can get the majority of it out. Whenever you pick leaves up, always check them, because like here, you'll have the little ones that look after the fungus garden. In fact, there's a bit of fungus in its mouth there. That could be attached to the leaves. Even though I did check all the leaves, not that I've shown it here, you'll actually find that I actually found one of the leaf cutters running around on my worktop, so I had to like dig it out, as it were, put it back into the setup. Now, like I said, I love this setup. I think it's brilliant. Hopefully they will move that little bit of fungus on the left hand side to the main fungus garden now and bring it into a big ball, because it's really difficult to gauge how mine are doing compared to other people, because Ant Hollifer, for example, has got quite a big fungus garden, and he got his around the same time that I got mine, I believe. I think I might have got mine a bit sooner than his, because the shipping for him has been terrible, as you all know from his videos. And his garden's pretty big, but I can't tell how mine's doing because it's just sprawled out all over the place. So hopefully they'll bring it all together at some point. You might ask yourself, where do I get my leaves from? Literally, this is the park in front of my house. And all I do, this is a variation of a plum tree in some shape or form. Don't know the exact name because I can't be asked to look it up, so it's irrelevant. And they absolutely love these leaves. Now, I do be a bit selective, like that's got a bit of mould on or a bit of black fungus. Don't want to go near that one. So I just check the leaves over before I pick them, or pick them then check them, whichever, before I take them home and give them a wash in the sink, just to wash anything off them that might not be desirable for them. They also really like this privet. This is actually a Japanese privet, and I'll just take the freshest leaves off that as well and then take that home because they love it. Now this is actually my terrarium that I built in a little video, and that's some of the model that I showed in my video, my AC video. But anyway, go off on a tangent. So I have to cut this back every so often because the plants grow really well, and what I found is some of them, not all of them, the leaf cutters will take these leaves as well. So for a bit of a treat, I'll give them that as well, and they keep renewing it and are always growing all year round as well, which is good. I also give them the rose petals that I got from Ant Davey as well. These are dried. Now they do recommend you don't give them these rose petals all the time because they are dried. Now the workers get a lot of their moisture from the leaves. They also get some of the carbohydrates from the leaves as well, and that's why you need to give them fresh leaves. Otherwise you do run the risk of them dying off because they will not be supported solely on these. But they are great for a little treat. Now I don't get this, guys. I seriously don't get it, and I see it a lot, more than you'd expect on the different forums that I'm part of due to leaf cutters, and people asking me questions. And this is buying flowers from florists and stuff like that. Now, unless you've got an uber hippie, organic, vegan, and any other weirdo thing you can think of style shop, they're going to be treated with pesticides and they're going to be treated with antifungal, because as you know as well as I do, because I've got a massive issue with it in my garden, black spot is a fungus that infects roses. So they get sprayed with antifungal all the time. So if you buy any from the florist, unless it's a super hippie one, the likelihood is it's been treated with antifungal and antiparasitic pesticides and stuff like that. So if you buy them for your ants, the likelihood is it will have a detrimental effect on your ant population and your fungus, potentially killing both. So do not, I say again, do not buy any flowers from a florist in any shape or form. If you're going to buy anything, make sure you know it's organic and it's not been treated with anything. Otherwise it can be disastrous for your colony. Now bear that in mind. I don't want to have to keep saying it, and I don't know why people keep asking me such an obvious question, but there you go, it is what it is. Now that rant's over with, let's talk more about the ants. Now, you might see this fungus garden and think, do you know what, that's pretty solid, Hood. How are they going to move it all together? Now, you'll actually see them, and in fact, there's a bit in the background. I zoom in and out of focus for different bits, because I watched these for like 5 minutes on this video. Really interesting, by the way, I do love it. But the fungus gardens can actually get broken down into small bits, as you see in the background there, 2 ants taking chunks over, because I've already started to move it back to the main fungus garden after I've removed all the leaves. So it can be broken down into small bits and then remodeled, redesigned, so they can change the shape of the fungus garden as they see fit. Now, naturally, in the natural environment, they build chambers for these underground, so they're restricted by the size of the chamber. Here they're completely unrestricted, as you all know, because you can see the setup, and they can design until their heart's content. A lot of leaf cutters tend to build theirs up into towers, and this is great, there's no drama with that, no issues. But what can happen with it is it can fall over. And if it does fall over for you guys, do not worry, it is not the end of the world. You're not likely to squish the ants. And I tell you what the ants do as well, which I haven't caught on video yet, but hopefully one day I will, is if they get squashed or they feel like they're trapped in some shape or form, they actually make a sound. And it's a very distinctive sound, and it sounds awesome. Look at that big bit of fungus there, and that little ant taking it away. It's actually really distinctive, and it sounds really cool. If I can get it at some point without causing any stress to my ants, I promise I will. But anyway, what that call means is that they've been squished. And if they do get squished by the fungus, they'll give out that call. It won't kill them because they're strong, but it will give out that sound, and then its mates will come and help it out and dig it out for it. So if it does fall over, it's not a disaster or anything like that. I don't think you can see this here, but you did see in some footage earlier. I did put on Instagram a couple of, last week, or the week before, about my queen thinking she was on her way out, but she was just super still because she'd been disturbed. I've seen her since then in the fungus garden, and she is happy as a Hindu cow. She is absolutely fine, there's no dramas with her at all. So I did panic, to be fair. I generally thought every time I've seen a queen ant like this, she's on her way out, but I think it's just a defensive mechanism from her, to be fair, because she's fine, which is great news. Anyway, I will stop talking rubbish now. I hope this has been pretty much a broad update of my ants and how I look after them and stuff like that, again, on how they're getting on. As you can clearly see, they are doing great. I was a bit concerned because I had so many workers, such a small fungus garden, but generally speaking, they're fine. I'm not noticing a massive die-off of ants, so they're not obviously suffering from lack of food or anything like that. I haven't seen a lot of brood development, to be honest, but equally, I know that they hide the brood, generally speaking, inside the fungus garden. So I'm not actually going to see it will very rarely see it unless there's a damage to the fungus garden for some reason or so. So yeah, I'm not going to particularly see that, but hopefully they seem to be doing well. They seem calm, they don't seem stressed, and they're cutting. And cutting is a sign that they're pretty relaxed anyway. But anyway, I'll stop talking rubbish. Promise this time. Now, it goes without saying, a big thanks to Ants Davey for gifting me these ants, and obviously Wakooshi for letting me trial their setup to make my life so much easier. But I've also got to give a super massive thanks to my new Patreons, which is Adrian, Ant Antics, Ants on a Rock, Antimatter, David D, Kevin R, who's a new supporter, Paul A, who's also a new supporter, PJ Grant is my #1 fan, and Wakooshi. Your continued support to my channel is very much appreciated, and you allow me to do a lot of the stuff that I do. So thank you. But anyway, that's it for me today then, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing my next one. So bye-bye for now.